Single dad defended a woman at a coffee shop. Not knowing she was a billionaire who wanted him snow drifted past the large glass windows of the small coffee shop, and inside, the warmth of roasted beans and quiet conversations filled the air. But in one corner, tension was rising like a storm about to break. A well-dressed man in a dark coat leaned forward across a small wooden table, his voice sharp and impatient, his expression full of arrogance. Sitting across from him was a woman in a simple cream dress, her posture calm but her eyes clearly uncomfortable. The entire cafe felt the tension, yet no one dared to interfere. No one except a tired single father who had just walked in to escape the cold. If you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Brightly Kindness. Stories like this remind us that one small act of courage can transform everything. The man who stepped forward was Daniel Harper, a 35-year-old single father who had already lived through more hardship than most people his age. His jacket was worn from years of work, his hands rough from long shifts at a construction site, and the exhaustion in his eyes told a story of sleepless nights and endless responsibility. Ever since his wife passed away 3 years earlier, Daniel had been raising his little daughter alone, juggling 2 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. Life had not been kind to him, but he refused to let it make him cruel. Daniel had only stopped at the coffee shop that morning because the snowstorm made the streets nearly impossible to cross. He planned to warm up with a cheap cup of coffee before rushing to pick up his daughter from school. But the moment he heard the sharp tone of the man's voice across the room, something inside him refused to stay silent. The man in the expensive coat was clearly losing his patience, speaking loudly enough that every table could hear. The woman sitting across from him remained quiet, her eyes lowered, her hands folded together as if she were trying to remain calm in the middle of humiliation. A few customers glanced over awkwardly, but no one moved. People often preferred to watch conflict from a distance rather than step into it. But Daniel wasn't one of those people. He walked forward slowly, his heavy boots echoing against the cafe floor. His voice was calm but firm enough to cut through the tension like a blade. He simply told the man that if the woman had said no, then the conversation was already over. The cafe fell silent instantly. The wealthy man turned toward Daniel with a look of disbelief. His face twisted with anger, clearly offended that someone dressed like a construction worker had the audacity to interfere. But Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He just stood there with quiet confidence, the kind that comes from years of protecting someone more important than yourself. The woman finally looked up, and for a brief moment their eyes met. Daniel noticed the surprise in her expression, but also something else, something softer, almost grateful. She had probably expected the same thing everyone else expected, that no one would stand up for her. The wealthy man scoffed and muttered something under his breath before grabbing his coat and storming out of the cafe, his expensive shoes slamming against the floor as he left. The tension dissolved immediately, replaced by a quiet sense of relief among the customers. Daniel shrugged slightly as if nothing unusual had happened and turned back toward the counter to order his coffee. To him, it was simply the right thing to do. He had a daughter at home, and he hoped that if she were ever in trouble someday, someone would show her the same kindness. But what Daniel didn't know, what no one in that cafe could have guessed, was that the woman he had just defended was far from ordinary. Her name was Isabella Laurent, and she was one of the youngest billionaires in the country. She had built a global technology company from the ground up, quietly becoming one of the most powerful business leaders in the world. Yet she rarely revealed